my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaelyn. I am a second year PhD student in History and African American Studies at Yale. My hair is doing weird things this morning. It is now Tuesday. I was meant to start this weekly vlog yesterday, but honestly was in a bit of a funk, so decided that I'm gonna start it today. But got up, had a good productive morning. Honestly, completely forgot that I was vlogging, so the last clip that you saw was probably like an hour ago. But I am just sitting here beginning my reading for comprehensive exams. Today I am starting off with Ira Berlin's Many Thousands Gone, the First 2 Centuries of Slavery in North America. This is a classic in the field of slavery studies. I am just digging into it really thoroughly so that way I can discuss it for comps. This week we got a lot going on in terms of trying to manage my time. I ended up changing up my perfect week schedule because ultimately I looked at it and it wasn't quite feasible. So Chanel and I sat down and reworked my schedule a little bit so that way Tuesdays are my meet with clients and accepted related day. I still throw in some bits of reading for comprehensive exams, but that means that I can read for comprehensive exams Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday afternoon, and all day Sunday. It allows me a little bit more time to focus on comps, and it also frees up time when I have meetings with my committee members, so it just works out better. But I am gonna go ahead and get started. I have reading, I have one client call, and then I have to work on the slide deck for the Acceptance Society exec and all hands meeting. I have a lot in the works, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started and take you along for this little week in my life. Status and week in review, then we'll do the analytics check. Then from there, we'll talk about the marketing update, which Katie will run. Overall member totals are at 80, so we hit the goal for the month already, which is excellent.
Pretty good. We got about 450 people on our website. Still, the main people are the US at the top, UK, and Canada.
I think it would actually be more beneficial for that weekly update to come from you. Incoming members see you all more as the face of Acceptance Society rather than it being like my social media as the primary driving force.
I'm gonna go through Kaelyn and I simultaneously. So Kaelyn and I both run workshops. Kaelyn approves the budget and the social media content on Sundays. You know, as you start moving towards more like helping Kaelyn with accepted consulting. And then Melissa, what we have you down is that eventually having you run workshops, right now not having you run them.
Overall, we are up in reach, engagement, and total followers. If you look on the right-hand side, the followers is a little bit outdated. We've had a couple of follows in the past couple of hours. We're at, I think, 444 right now. This is where I want to talk about our new posting schedule. So as Danielle said, on Saturdays, at least for February, we're going to be meeting to plan out the content to figure out what goes live when for Instagram stories, Reels, TikToks.
I have not done a proper check-in like all day long because it has been just back to back to back to back, but it's been a really good productive day so far, and I'm about to get some reading done during the accountability workshop that I'm leading this evening for Acceptance Society. I've got my second latte of the day in hand, ready to go, and I am still reading Ira Berlin. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep on reading for the evening, and then we'll check in a little while. I imagine it's gonna be a reading night. I'm planning on not staying up too late because I would like to get a good night's sleep and hit the ground running tomorrow. But that is my plan. While I was doing the reading, I typically take notes for comprehensive exams as I'm going, and there's one line in here in particular that just seems really interesting in terms of the way I think about legal status of mixed race children and laws regarding inheritance. Ira Berlin talks about the status of children born to African women and European travelers, specifically in Almina. And so those children being Luso-Africans or Portuguese and African, I'm just curious what their legal condition would have been. So what the status would have been under Iberian law. And this is an important question for me to ask because I'm interested in how inheritance gets litigated or gets written into the law, and how the British essentially establish similar laws, or where in the Atlantic world positive laws were enacted. And when I say positive laws, I mean laws specifically pertaining to that particular legal issue. And we know about it in the 17th century English Atlantic, but I'm also curious if they're borrowing, or at the very least being influenced by, the laws of the Portuguese and the Spanish, which we know they are. They're obviously being influenced, and there are scholars that have discussed this in a kind of theoretical framework, but I am particularly curious about how that gets established, essentially. So I am just going through here. I don't know why this book is not popping up in my database, but I'm basically just going into Notion and writing up my notes and creating my little catalog for myself, so that way I can study effectively later on when I actually have to take the exam. So I just wanted to pause really quick and tell you guys about it because it's something that I find really fascinating and something that is really relevant to my research, and so I wanted to quickly flag it and chat about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep reading and let you know if I find anything else that's worth chatting about. To Steve Pincus's 1688, The First Modern Revolution. This is a dense, very large book. It is the size of my head. When I ordered it, I thought it was going to be tiny, and I was wrong. I mean, I should have expected it. Steve Pincus, he's a professor of the British Empire in the 17th, 18th century. And he's a professor at U Chicago. I actually met him once when I was at UCLA because I went with a bunch of graduate students that had invited me to go with them to one of his talks. He was talking about a project that I think is a current book project of his at the moment, and it was a really interesting talk. He was talking more specifically about the South Asian British Empire and the Indian Ocean. He was also talking about the Atlantic, but he was talking a little bit more broadly about the British Empire. But this book in particular is about the Glorious Revolution, and this is something that I have never taken classes on. I never got to take an early modern British history class, which I regret, but I didn't have very much time as a transfer student, and so I'm catching up. And this is important because now that my research is moving more into the 17th century rather than my previous work, which was more in the late 18th century, then there's a lot of historical context that I don't have knowledge of or don't have deep knowledge of. So I have made one of my comprehensive exam lists full of books related to the early modern English empire in the Atlantic world and politics of the era, etc. So I'm gonna dig in because this is a monster of a book, and my list for this particular meeting is quite long. It's got 11 books on it, and I need to get reading. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that for another hour or two, and then I'll call it a night somewhat early so that way I can get up at a reasonable hour tomorrow. I'm planning on going and working on campus for at least a couple of hours just so I can get out of the house. Because all of my meetings have been on Zoom, I haven't really felt like getting up and going to campus, but I know that it's just a much better scenario for my mental state. So I'm going to pick myself up and make myself go over to campus tomorrow, and it just makes me feel better every time I do it. It just makes me appreciate being on campus. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop rambling and get to reading again.
Nasty Lunches and Anxious Patriarchs. I left the 1680 book at home. I was thinking about bringing it, but honestly it's just a monstrosity and it would be heavy, so I took it back. But I'm going to go ahead and get some garlic time and keep reading.
Ended up running into some people from my cohort, so I got to hang out with a couple of the other historians in training, and then actually ran into Aline in the library as well. She is a philosophy PhD student here at Yale, and so she ended up grabbing lunch with me and then coming back with me to my apartment for about an hour, and then she had to go off to go do a meeting, and I had to film the Notion video. Now I'm just sitting here, I'm working on the Notion video. I time blocked to work on it for a couple of hours, so I'm gonna get working on that and then switch gears and get back to reading this afternoon, and then Blair will be coming over this evening to get some work done. So it's been a really good social day. I'm really glad that I forced myself to leave the apartment. Definitely gonna make more of an effort to do that in the future because I tend not to, and I actually ran into a lot of people that I know. So I definitely need to make more of an effort to go onto campus. So I'm gonna go ahead and just keep working and then see what it is we get up to for the rest of today, and hope that this Notion video doesn't drive me insane. The Notion video, it's not done yet, but we're almost there, and I'm actually happy with the footage this time. But I went ahead and made some dinner, got some salmon, rice, and green beans, and I've got a friend, a dinner buddy. Hi. Blair is on TikTok, and she makes the most hilarious TikTok content, to the point where I started noticing other graduate school content creators like trying to do your style of voiceover.
Plagiarism.
not nearly as good. I don't even attempt it because I'm just not that funny. But we are going to have some dinner and then get some reading done and see what we get up to.